So it might be too early to say at this point, but it looks like we might finally have a first, like true America First candidate when it comes to any of the races in Congress, governor, president, whatever you want to call it. And that is in the governor of Florida race. There is a man named James Fishback who's been getting a lot of attention for showing how truly America First he is. He's talking about ideas no one else is talking about, and he's unashamedly America first, even if that means going with unpopular opinions like defending Groypers and Nick Fuentes and saying how immigration affects our culture in America, things that most conservatives won't even touch. He is going after. Now, there are two streamers who have been really bringing attention to this more than anyone. And one is a right-leaning streamer, Asmongold. One is a far-left streamer, Hasan Piker. So what I want to do in this video is to kind of show you both of their reactions to James Fishback and clips of him and see what they're saying about him. So first we'll do Asmongold.
Finally, we're finally getting there.
As Christians, we are called to protect the preborn, to defend
Christ
the
is
sanctity
king.
of marriage, and to recognize the dignity of our neighbors. My name is James Fishback, and I'm running for Florida governor to do all three.
He's actually doing music videos about Christianity. Oh my God. Clarify comments made about Nick Fuentes, his followers. Oh boy.
I want to clarify some comments that I made this week rather abruptly in a live interview about the young men in our country who watch and follow Nick Fuentes. I want to clarify and apologize for absolutely nothing. The young men in Pasco County who wore blue America First hats, who came to our event, where the average age in the room was somewhere in the 60s, were there, were respectful, were civil. We had a great conversation, and they have a...
He just went and said, I don't give a fuck.
See, you would never see any other politician saying that. You can't, like, they're too scared to, because of like, oh, well, did you hear what Nick has said in the past? Do you see what the Groypers do online? If his experience with these people in person, they're nothing but respectful, there's nothing wrong with saying that. But you know, other politicians would never say the same. They would feel like they need to give a public statement on, I'm not connected with these people.
See, I told you, all you need to do is get enough people together and you can do anything you want.
Real pulse for what is going on in the country. Too often these days, young white men are discounted and told that their opinions don't matter. They are toxically masculine.
Man.
That they have some sort of privilege and their conversation and contributions don't matter. I'm running for Florida governor because Florida is our home. America is our birthright. And we can never, ever sell out the men who built this country.
Man. I've been waiting on this for a while. I've been waiting on this for a bit. Finally, it's going to happen. So he has my vote? Absolutely. I'd totally vote for this guy instantaneously.
Watching Aiden Ross all day or some right? I mean, if you're sitting and watching Aiden Ross all day or some of these Twitch streamers, that's very different than, I'll tell you the truth, I found the audience of young men who follow and watch Nick Fuentes to be actually incredibly informed and insightful and very patriotic young men.
So people got really mad about this, obviously. I wonder why.
Completely honest.
Yes.
Now, that's very different than the audience watching Fresh and Fit, but I think something has to be said about the young men.
Yeah.
Some of them are based too, okay? Just
Some of
mostly
them are
on the feminist stuff. But
I love the soundboard when Myron hits the sounds. No, it's not a dig on Myron, right? It's just what kind of audience, what kind of following do you have? And look, I'm going to be completely honest. I probably shouldn't say this, but I think Nick's following is actually really impressive. There's a lot of young men who are patriotic, who are well-informed, who know our history, which is why they are so frightened by the current path that we are on.
That's exactly it.
And the sooner we can accept that and stop letting the left and the right, stop letting George Soros and Larry Ellison divide us and convince us that certain people we should not listen to, the sooner we can reject that slanderous lie that Americans need to be disavowed, the sooner we can once again unite under a country that speaks up against the establishment, an establishment that has colluded with the left and the right. The country.
See, this is the kind of shit, I don't even have to add anything. I don't even need to say anything. I just need to play the video.
Country Club Republicans are no better than the Democrats. We have to have an America First movement.
What's really good here too is like what a lot of people are afraid to do too, especially on the conservative side, is they don't want to call out other Republicans or conservatives, because in reality, most Republicans are useless. A lot of people that are conservative vote Republicans because sometimes politicians doing nothing is better than what the radical left wants to do in all their policies. So it's like, yeah, okay, I guess I'd rather have someone in there doing nothing than someone like wanting to make my 12-year-old change genders or anything like that, right? So that's the big thing. But like, it's good that there's people like this calling out Republicans too. Now, what's going to be interesting going forward, I'm sure he's going to get polling numbers, he's going to gain popularity. But the thing is, with him running against Byron Donalds already has the Trump endorsement. And unfortunately, in our politics, that's a huge thing. And Trump doesn't always endorse the best people. Like, example, Lindsey Graham. He constantly endorses him for whatever reason. I think because like he just falls in line. But Trump obviously doesn't always endorse the best people. But there are a lot of voters out there that will see, oh, Trump endorsed. I like Trump. I'm going to vote for this guy. So, and Byron Donalds isn't bad, but he's not good. Like, I don't think he'd be as effective as governor as Ron DeSantis. And what I think would be really interesting too, if Ron DeSantis does endorse James Fishback, because Ron DeSantis and Byron Donalds don't like each other. Because Ron DeSantis felt betrayed when he ran for president and Byron endorsed Trump over DeSantis, even though they're from the same state. So they don't get along. So I think a Trump endorsed candidate versus a DeSantis endorsed candidate in Florida, that would be an interesting challenge. And I think that debate will be interesting too, because I don't know if you guys recognize him. If you don't know who James Fishback is, he's done like some Jubilee debates and he's a pretty good debater. I've never seen Byron Donalds debate, but I think James would probably mop the floor with him just from what I've seen. I could be wrong. So I think going forward, that will be really interesting to watch in this sort of like America First movement. Because in reality, what we've seen with candidates is you have a better chance of winning if you show you're putting Americans before everyone else, right? And this is the left and the right too. So like, say, give credit to like, say, Zohar Mamdani in the Democratic primary for the New York City mayoral race. They were all like, I'm going to go to Israel. I'm going to go to Ukraine, even though they're New York City mayors are running for New York City mayor. And Mamdani said, I'm going to stay here in New York. He gave the look that he wants to put Americans and New Yorkers first. And that skyrocketed him in the voting. Now, his policies a lot of times are absolutely insane, but he's giving off that vibe. This dude is giving off the America First vibe, and that's something that's absolutely needed.
That's right.
Probably not going to happen
Absolutely.
in its own party, but it will likely happen within the vessel of the Republican Party.
Yeah,
That's why
so.
I'm running this race for Florida governor, is to actually put forward a Florida First, America First vision that doesn't apologize for our history, doesn't apologize for who we are.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Fucking finally. If this guy wins Florida and run for president after, well, here's what's important. If this guy wins, then you're going to have 50 more of this guy, or I guess 49 more of this guy running for governor everywhere else. That's why it's important. It's important so you can show that this is a movement and a message that has a tremendous amount of support. And if you don't support it, if you are not in favor of it, then you're dead in the water. That's it. What about this?
I think Asmongold makes a good point there, where it just takes one guy kind of breaking through to show that you can win elections this way. So like a good thing with Trump back in 2016, he was considered the anti-establishment candidate. It was considered like no one ever just came from like an outsider and won like the primary on either side. They usually were like a governor, senator, house rep, whatever you want to call it. And he said, I don't need all your money. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm a billionaire. I'm going to run this like a business. And he took that strategy and was able to win presidency, right? Now, his second term Trump is a little more disappointing than first term Trump. I think first term Trump was pretty good. It's this term that hasn't been the best. But he showed that you don't need to be this like establishment Republican to win office. Like before that, it was always these establishment Republicans like the Mitt Romneys, George Bush, like all these people that were just like they were afraid to do things, right? So I think this shows that you can do things, and it might be considered more extreme to some people, but we need something to shake up the offices in politics, because in reality, like, we can't keep going the way we're going. And I think Florida has good momentum with DeSantis, but they need someone that's willing to put Floridians first, like I think Fishback can over Donald. I think Donald's going to be more like, I'm just going to do whatever Trump does. Obviously, DeSantis doesn't have that mindset because DeSantis and Trump don't get along. It's good to support the president to an extent, but when you have blind loyalty to the president where you're only going to do what he says all the time, I think can be too toxic, and that applies to both sides. We saw that last year where every Democrat just fell in line with the zombie president we had, and that's a big reason they lost the presidency. I think on the flip side, if every Republican just falls in line with every little thing Trump does, that's going to be bad for the Republicans too. And I think people like him or like Thomas Massey or all these other people need to speak out more and show that America should be put top priority. So this was Asmongold talking about it. Here we have Hasan Piker talking about James Fishback.
Also, I was going to talk about this James Fishback guy who is leaning into some. I mean, he's the pick for Floridians who don't think Ron DeSantis is fascist enough. Asmongold.
Also, what the hell is that Santa behind him? Is that a black Santa dancing?
Reacts to James Fishback for not apologizing for praising Nick Fuentes and his followers. Asmon then adds, if this guy wins, there will be 49 more.
Where's his dog? What is he, don't want to punish it anymore?
Or like this guy running for governor everywhere else. This is a movement and a message that has tremendous amount of support. I like that my movement guy is, someone like Zoran, and Asmongold's movement guy is this fucking guy.
I want to clarify some comments that I made this week rather abruptly in a live interview about the young men in our country who watch and follow Nick Fuentes. I want to clarify and apologize for absolutely nothing. The young men in Pasco County who wore blue America First hats, who came to our event, where the average age in the room was somewhere in the 60s, were there, were respectful, were civil. We had a great conversation, and they have a real pulse for what is going on in the country. Too often these days, young white men are discounted and told that their opinions don't matter. They're toxically masculine.
What's this guy's ethnic background, by the way? Yeah, this is the new Florida fascists.
That they have some sort of privilege and their conversation and contributions don't matter. I'm running for Florida governor because Florida is our home. America is our birthright, and we can never, ever sell out the men who built this country. I want to clarify.
Why is that all you care about? Because I'm racist, brother. What do you mean? But I'm unlike these fucking DEI Nazis, I'm a real racist. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make sure my white identity movement is pure and actually has white people in it. And it's becoming increasingly more difficult to find real white people that are doing white supremacist politics in this goddamn country.
You're sitting and watching Aiden.
Yeah, that's one of the funniest parts about people who are we got to get these fucking immigrants out, right? They're like, oh, we got to do purity politics. We got to get these fucking immigrants out. And then it's perhaps the greatest testament to assimilation that every one of these white supremacist dudes are half of them are Mexican. The other half is there's a Haitian Filipino guy. They've assimilated. They've assimilated, brother. What do you mean? What is a greater testament to assimilation than a Haitian Filipino Muslim revert being a prominent fixture in the white supremacist movement in this goddamn?
So basically, Hasan Piker's logic is anybody that supports mass deportations or doesn't want mass immigration into the country is automatically a white supremacist, even if they're not white, because that makes sense, right? In reality, they want to keep the American culture. So James Fishback wants to keep the American culture. That's the idea of Trump's deportations, right? You can't flood in 10 million illegals and expect them to assimilate to our language, assimilate to our lifestyle, assimilate to anything to do with our country and our values and anything. You don't see this in most countries. It's happening a lot in Europe now, and then Europe's getting taken over by Muslims. You see it in the UK, you've seen it in Sweden. Their crimes have skyrocketed. The amount of people on welfare services have skyrocketed from these immigration. So then what happens? The people that live there, the actual citizens, get punished. They have to pay more in taxes to pay for all this stuff. They have to live their life in danger because of this, because those people coming in don't assimilate, right? So personally for me, like with ours, it's a little different because we have more mass immigration from Hispanic countries, which I'd much rather have Hispanic countries than Muslim countries personally. But it's still the same thing. They're coming in, they're not speaking our language. They're not assimilating to our culture. They're taking jobs that should go to natural born Americans, right? And there's nothing wrong with wanting them deported. And then he's basically saying people, I'm assuming the half Mexican was Nick Fuentes. I don't know who he was talking about, the half Filipino, half Haitian Myron Gaines, maybe. I don't know. But people just want legal immigration and not a lot of it. Just because you're a minority here doesn't mean you support all the illegals coming in. Because guess what? A lot of people came in the legal way. And there are minorities that have been here for generations. There's Asians and Hispanics that have been here in America for generations. They've more than assimilated. They've seen the country 50, 60 years ago and see it now. It's completely different now. And so people like Hasan Piker are like, oh, well, you have to support this or else you're a white supremacist. The dumbest argument I've literally ever heard. And so and then the one thing with the left that I don't understand, I don't think they've ever understood either. When has this worked for them? When has just calling your opponent racist or something they're doing racist or white supremacist or offensive or anything like that? When has that actually worked? It doesn't work at all. You can sit there like, Trump is racist. You've been calling Trump racist for 10 years now. Okay, he's president for a second term. How'd that help you? It didn't. Like you would think by now, after doing this constantly, they would learn that this strategy of just calling their opponent racist or white supremacist or whatever doesn't work. But they're still trying this route. And I think what's funny too is James Fishback actually shared this video of Hasan talking about him and tagged him and said, let's chat. Like he wants to talk to him. Now, I guarantee you, Hasan Piker will not have a conversation with him because Hasan Piker does not believe in open discussion. You know, he's done his few things with like Charlie Kirk here and there. But other than that, he doesn't talk to people. He likes to hang out with Zoram and AOC that think exactly like him. But that's it. He's not ever going to talk with James Fishback. James Fishback will wipe the floor with him. And then he'd be like, racist, racist. That's all his only response would be. Now, I want to play one video from James Fishback, which is something I feel like no one is talking about in the left or the right that needs to be talked about more.
The homes today, they'll have 15 bidders. Half of them will be hedge funds. The other half will be foreign buyers. 52% of all new home purchases in Miami right now are foreign buyers. That means you guys will have to will not be able to buy a home half the time because a foreigner bought it. Not because they're going to live in it, but because they're going to only spend a couple months out of the year here, and that home will stay vacant, and you will be trapped in a studio apartment, not being able to start a family.
No one is talking about this. So the biggest thing with the housing crisis, right? Obviously, the pandemic hurt to an extent. The cost of lumber skyrocketed, then the supply chain got messed up, and then, you know, everything with that, right? Another big thing is when you let in 10 million migrants in 4 years, all those migrants need somewhere to live, right? And now there are so illegals in general can't purchase a home unless it's through, I believe, if they claim asylum, I think they have an option to buy a home. So depending on how many people under the Biden administration were approved for asylum, they could all definitely buy a home. But they can still rent. Why has rent skyrocketed over the last 4 or 5 years? Because there's a bunch of illegals renting homes. And then on the flip side of it, you have companies like Blackstone that buy family homes and then rent them out to people. It's like a large hedge fund. So no one's talking about this. And this is something that needs to be talked about. I think RFK Jr. talked about last year when he was running independent. But Trump doesn't talk about this. No Democrat on the planet talks about this. This is something that could be so helpful for the housing market. But they're not talking about it. He's sitting there saying that this is an issue. He said 52% of Miami homes were bought by foreigners. That's insane. Imagine how affordable those houses would be if only Americans could buy them, right? That's insane. So I think that's something that needs to be talked about more. If I was him personally, because I think the housing situation is working itself out in states like Texas and parts of Florida because they are building homes. Like I've heard Austin, Texas has built so many that their rents are actually plummeting. But if he's able to push this and win kind of like off of this, that's going to be really helpful to candidates in other states going forward. Like Asmongold said, if he's able to win with stances like this, you're going to create 49 more of these. People are going to run for governor in other states in 2028 trying to do the same strategy because this is something that does need to be talked about. And what I think will be interesting going forward is how the Trump administration handles James Fishback, because I've heard they were disappointed when he ran for governor because they wanted Byron Donalds to pretty much walk through it easily, right? I think the only other Republican running is like the current lieutenant governor of the state, but they endorsed Byron Donalds, obviously, and they don't want him to be challenged. This is going to be a thorn in their thigh. And it'll be interesting to see how they deal with it because he is running on some popular ideas, especially in the conservative side, that I don't think Byron Donalds can compete with. So we'll see going forward. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of James Fishback and Asmongold and Hasan Piker's response to it. Let me know what you think that if the other governors should try to run on same strategy as Fishback's doing in other states. Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to my other social medias in the description. And I'll catch you next time.